Now let's see. Doors. All right, this is where things start getting a little bit more interesting. So doors have some things they're forbidden with and some things they're not, but they're quite complicated as objects, and so we will take sort of a calm look at them. So first of all, doors are composed of 3 parts: a start anchor, an end anchor, and a switch. They can also have multiple switches. You can go up to 4 and then go down. It's up to you. Now let's see some of the properties. As you can see, there's, wait, let me move around here. There you go. As you can see, there's quite a few properties. Let's begin with rail visible. This is purely cosmetic. Do you want the rail to be visible between 2 anchors or not? Simple as. Number 2 is color. You have a bunch of predefined colors that you can pick from. For example, purple. There's a purple door. Move. This applies to this anchor. If you click on this one and click move, this applies to this anchor. The 2 anchors cannot overlap, and they cannot overlap switches. They also cannot overlap here, etc., etc., etc. But they can overlap with other stuff, for example. So you could put stuff on an anchor and then create traps for players so that then, you know, they press a switch or whatever and the door squishes them and kills them, which is very, very evil. I totally never do that in game all the time. You can invert the direction, like so. So you can make the door start in that position or start in this position. You can go to one or the other by clicking this button. And you can also test the door. Now let's take a look at the bottom slider here. It says door travel duration. So this one starts at 1 second for us. This means the door will take 1 second to go from one anchor to the other. It doesn't matter how far or close the anchors are. I could put the anchor here, and this would still take 1 second to go to the other side. Meaning if the 2 anchors are very close, like so, this travel is actually slow comparatively to how fast it is when the anchor is very far. So let's see how high we can go. We can go up to 20 seconds. We can make this door travel for 20 seconds. And you may wonder, but Mike, this is absurd. Why would you want a door to travel this long? Well, let me tell you, there's loads of puzzles that I've made in Thrusty Ship in the official levels that make use of very slow doors. Vice versa, there are some puzzles that make use of very, very fast doors. This one will take 0.2 seconds to get to the other side. Okay. This door is lethal. This door will kill you. Okay. And how can you tell? Well, you'll develop a sense for it. But by default, they always start at 1. Okay. And you can use this slider to decide them. Now, switches, they also have their own properties. They can be visible or invisible. Now, if they're invisible, that means you click them and the player won't even notice and the doors will move. Now, you want to use this sensibly. If you use it excessively, the user will not know what's happening if you use invisible switches all the time. But they can be useful in various situations. For example, you may hide one of these switches behind another switch if you have 2 doors that are identical. Let me demonstrate. So we're going to take this other door, we're going to color this one purple, and we're going to put this purple switch on top of the other purple switch. Now, hitting this purple switch will sound the click once, and both doors will transition with their own respective speeds. So if this one in particular, for example, took, 4 seconds to travel, and this one takes less than 1, okay, you would get this and this to occur at the same time because the 2 switches are on top of one another. One of them invisible, the other one not. Okay? Now, one thing that I recommend is definitely don't have the same color with different switches that then don't affect one another in different places. But anyway, it'll be up to you to experiment with things. I'm going to change the color of this door just so we don't get confused. So these are the green switches, these are the purple switches. So as I showed you before, you can add as many switches as you want. You can use these little buttons to go to the respective switches. Then you can go from switch to switch to switch to switch to switch, etc. Making them visible or invisible at your heart's content. You can also delete a certain switch. You cannot delete all switches. At least one is necessary. Okay? And from a switch, you can go back to a door. That pretty much concludes the doors, but there's quite a lot to learn about them. They're a really useful tool if you want to make interesting levels.